Hi, I'm William Bosley, a dungeon master who's a fan of both mats, the Mercer and the Colville. Just a few days ago, Colville released a new video on dogpiling, and it got me thinking about some things that I do to deal with dogpiling that are very 5th edition rooted. Now, I'm not saying that Matt's video is lacking in any way by making this one. In fact, it's great, and you should go watch it before watching this one for multiple reasons, including context, and it's got a lot of information. This video is more of like a supplement to that video. I guess if I'm making supplements, I'm in the realm of good people. My primary thought is one that he may have alluded to, but I wanted to call attention to it. See, you're encouraged as a dungeon master to forego the ability score and skill pairings that the player's handbook and character sheet both sort of imply are the default. You're allowed to change that. This creates a lot of edge cases where skills and abilities overlap, which can help differentiate characters. This overlap allows different characters to achieve the same or just similar goals using completely different means. So now let's look at completely different scenarios that will actually bring us back into dogpiling. In the first one, your highly intelligent wizard player asks, "Can I make a check to see if I know anything about this creature that we're facing?" And of course you say yes, because the creature is not natural in origin. And so you allow the wizard to make an intelligence arcana check to see if they've ever read about this monstrosity before. Then they fail the check. And your illiterate barbarian player asks if they can perform the same check. Dice already in their hands, possibly rolling it around, ready to make the check already, as if you've already said yes. Now, this is a problem for most DMs. We all face it at some point, but this is a problem that I tend to look at as somewhat of an opportunity. This is your opportunity to world build live in front of your players through their characters, instead of through some exposition, which will also lend a coolness factor to the character themselves. Drawing on the versatility of the ability challenge system in 5th edition, you can actually pose a new challenge to this other player rather than the same one. So this challenge might be an intelligence because it's about remembering something you knew before, but instead of being about remembering from a book, this is an illiterate character. Maybe they heard a story that told of information on how to deal with these creatures. So now, you say something to your barbarian player, such as, "Your tribe has many tribesmen who have gone out in search of something valuable to bring back to the tribe. Now, myths and epics have been written about them, passed down for generations through oral tradition. And you've heard of many of these. Some of the information may have been lost in time or translation or through a long game of telephone. But now that it's reached your ears, it could be useful in your given circumstance. So now I need you to roll an intelligence performance check to recall information that might be gleaned from the lines of dialogue or the musical lyrics of stories handed down through your tribe." Now, this is a different ability check. It's no longer the intelligence arcana check, it's an intelligence performance check. No player will balk at you saying, "It's harder to recall information from a song you heard half a lifetime ago." Or, for example, just to say, "The difficulty of this information being applicable is what's coming into play here. The likelihood that what you do recall is helpful in your given situation." So the DC is going to go up. It's going to rise for you because you're remembering a song that may or may not actually be helpful. But that's not what I do. I keep the DC the same, and I just, give the players worse information. Or if it's not information-based, I will make the situation, the outcome is just worse. For example, they may be trying to open a door, in which case it only opens halfway and then it jams. Or it could be that they're attempting to decipher arcane information, and instead of giving them the full information, I only tell them the, school that the spell belongs to. Or if it's something to do with survival, like tracking somebody, then their version of tracking only tells you the general direction as opposed to being able to follow the tracks down a path. Lesser version. Now let's look at a second example. In this example, your monk player wants to push a boulder aside, but they fail the check. Now your bard with a negative modifier in strength wants to make the same athletics check. At this point, the monk's roll has already been made, so it's too late for the bard to use the help action or to use their bardic inspiration to try and give them an edge. You could still say no, but I think that there is a more satisfying solution for everyone involved. That is, instead you can say, the roll has already been made, but if you want to make an intelligence athletics check or a wisdom athletics check to help the monk with information, I'll let you. Now, the DC for you is going to be the same, but on a success, you can basically be using the help action and grant the monk advantage. What? Yeah, I guess everybody can make the check too. Sure. Except the monk. No, you're not watching you. Don't worry, that last bit was a joke, but it will happen. Fortunately, this situation, it will actually balance that out quite nicely. Now, if you let everyone else make the same check, you're only adding advantage once. So even if they all succeed, you're only increasing the odds that the monk will succeed by 1 degree of advantage. In other words, you're taking advantage of the rules of advantage. This serves as a sort of buffer to protect you from dogpiling in general if you only allow everyone else to roll to give advantage to the person who originally rolled. And if you want to, you can sort of use a breaking the rule kind of double advantage in this case, where if everyone wants to do it and the person already had advantage through some other means, like maybe they're using a pry bar, then maybe the rest of the players could do a special, like kind of like the luck feat, give a little special advantage on top of regular advantage. But you don't have to do that. You can do that only in situations where it just logically wouldn't make sense for them to not be able to help in some way, and you just want to go along with logic. Anyway, now that everyone's distracted by the monk pushing the boulder, and, they're all staring at him, and they're all telling him, hey, yeah, no, you're doing it wrong, do it this way, do it that way, and they're all backseat driving for pushing a boulder, it's a perfect opportunity to have creatures on the other side of the boulder leap out to attack. And may I suggest, have the creatures attack the bard first. No, I'm kidding. Actually, go ahead and just avoid attacking the monk. The monk was the one who had the idea in the first place. He just got dogpiled. If the enemies attack him directly as soon as the boulder's moved, even if he's in the front of the group, it kind of makes it seem like he's getting dogpiled by literally everyone in the game at that moment, including the Dungeon Master. So, there's a little bit of logic here anyway. He's distracted by the boulder, whatever creature's on the other side see he's struggling against the boulder, they see he's leaning against the boulder, they have the opportunity to attack the creatures behind the boulder, the players, and the players are just sitting there gawking at the monk who's just distracting them all, making them very easy targets. With these two examples, I hope I've shown that you as the Dungeon Master can recontextualize any situation to flip dogpiling on its ear. Instead, you can turn it into something that's actually a beneficial tool. Now, you'll still find times whenever you're too distracted, your head is all over the place with all the things you have to think about as a Dungeon Master, and these tools, this method, will not really come to mind in time. You can always sort of backtrack a little bit if nothing has happened since then and just say, you know what, actually you can make that check if you think about it a little bit late. But that's where, Matt Colville's information about saying no, just at that point say no. If you can't think of a reason, just say no. And hey, actually, with these situations, it can often become cooler than just a regular success. Like Matt Colville was saying, being told no, your limitations being set for you, can often make a cooler situation in and of itself. These can also make cool situations, and it'll make it to where you've got sort of 3 different flavors. You can say yes, no, or maybe. Or, well, I guess, but. Or yes, but. It's yes, no, and yes, but. Yeah, there you go. For example, everyone loves the scene where Gimli fails his stealth check in the Elven Forest and they get ambushed. But everyone also loves the scene where Gimli sneaks around the outside of Helm's Deep in sight of 10,000 plus Uruk-hai and manages to leap across into the middle of them and defend the gate. With a bit of help, he leaps. He gets thrown. A bit of a toss. But yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes these dogpiling situations especially need a little bit of context to explain why they're happening. We usually use narrative, but what I'm posing to you is to use paired ability checks to give a mechanical context toward what's happening that I think just adds an extra layer of satisfaction to the players and the dungeon master and the whole scene, I think. So, hey, I've been considering making YouTube videos for a while, and this is my first real foray. If you found it useful, I don't have a way for you to support the channel except for through the regular like and subscription. But if you do subscribe, you don't have anything to lose, since I probably won't be uploading any videos anytime soon as I get ready to do more and in full swing. Or maybe not at all. So, nothing to lose. Anyway, thanks.